The purpose of the conference is to bring together the startup and innovation community in Mississippi. A lot of people that operate independently, starting companies, developing new technologies, looking at problems that we all want to solve. Bring them together, trade ideas, trade techniques, see what other people are doing. It's a little bit of cut and paste of technology. Maybe solutions that work in one area will work in another. It's a little bit of a cheerleading adventure to show people what successes some people are having, so that somebody can say, well, if they can do it here, I can do it here. So it's to trade best practices to some extent and techniques.
But what I want to talk about today, and sort of my journey, has always been, as I reflect, I'm 47. For me, and how I've built this whole company, Edge Theory, which we position ourselves as a conversation media company, we believe at the end of the day that conversation is either your biggest asset or your biggest liability. And you can just look at the political race today. It's all about owning the conversation. It always has been. And so when I look back on my life so far, I look back in the Mississippi Delta where I grew up, and I'm the youngest of three. My parents are from Texas, but I pretty much grew up there from the third grade on. We didn't have a lot of stuff in the Delta, right? But we had this thing called the art of conversation. And as I look back on my life, learning that and going down the street on Friday nights, like my friends that live in Dallas, they have a new restaurant every Friday night, right? In Greenville, we did not have a new restaurant every Friday night. So we actually learned how to talk. And I think that's one of the biggest assets we have as Mississippi. And I always talk about this all the time when I travel. I just was speaking at Stanford. We have this crazy industry called conversation in Mississippi. It's this greatest art form, and I think we got to find ways to monetize that. So my company, Big Picture, is a conversation media company. And what we do, because we believe that conversation is either your biggest asset or your biggest liability, we create content for people. And we create content at scale to help people go own conversations that people are having who aren't looking for them. As Jim Barksdale, who's on my board, says, there's a lot more people not looking for you than looking for you, right? And so many times, as whether we're a ministry or nonprofit or for-profit, we focus on people looking for us. They already know you. Even with social media, it's pathetic how many people focus on their Facebook page when those people already know you, right? How do you find people who don't know you, who aren't looking for you? So as a conversation media company, we provide content at scale. And so I look back on my life. I learned it in Mississippi, but then went to Mississippi College. I love talking. So I use that a lot to help me get through my career. I went to Dallas. I was in the right place at the right time. I spent my time getting to know the partners I work for, and within 6 months, I just got lucky or blessed to go move to Budapest. So I lived in Eastern Europe for a couple of years. I was 22 years old, green bean, but I got on these huge privatization teams because in 1989, the wall fell down, and so I'm now in Budapest learning how to privatize companies. So I use conversation again, with translators to go, advance my career. Came out to Dallas, and then with Music Force and Light Source, my first two internet companies, we built those companies on chat rooms. And this is dates, way back in those days, there was no social media, but obviously, to sell Christian music, which I knew a little bit about growing up in the church. I knew who Amy Grant was. We used Christian radio, which is massive, and we used chat rooms to say, did you know? Did you know you could buy a CD online? Because no one knew that you could buy a CD online, right? And so we used that art of conversation, and then fast forward, how I built Edge Theory real quickly, and I'll jump into it, is about, 9 years ago, I reunited with my friend Fred Carl, who built obviously a great brand called Viking. Well, Fred's a great model for what I'm talking about when you have to go own the conversation. In 1986, when Margaret, his lovely wife, said, I want to have a commercial range in my kitchen, people laughed at Fred. If you hear his whole story, people laughed at him. His best friends left him. There was no one left, and then, of course, he got the investors with Stevens. But he was selling a commercial range that had never been sold before, just like I was selling CDs that had never been sold before. And so Fred had to go own the conversation, and he did it very, very well before social media, right? He owned the culinary lifestyle conversation. He owned the foodie conversation, and he did it without social media at first because he became friends with Thomas Keller in Napa, and Emerald in New Orleans, et cetera, et cetera. So owning the conversation really has always taken interest. So 9 years ago, he goes, Joe, I want to liquidate my company. I'm looking to sell it. I have no idea how to use this stuff called social media. But I know what to say. And I saw quickly, helping him and helping Mr. Benson of the Saints and his granddaughter and helping lots of big brands, Match.com, which is currently my client, I learned that there's lots of men and women in this world, my age or younger than me, 30 and I'm 47, but old, people, us old people who know what to say, but we don't know how to use that plumbing called social media. And the young people who know how to use the plumbing don't know what to say, right? So you have this huge divide in the world between the plumbers, the young people who've built this technology or who know how to use it or who think they know what to say, but their brains aren't fully developed, so they definitely don't know what to say. And then you have all the people who know what to say who don't know how to use the technology. And so that, and many observations, led me to go, gosh, I need to build a company. And so, Edge Theory is what I call a hybrid. We have a hybrid platform. We're blending human creativity with algorithms, right? Because the answer, no matter what you get told, is not Silicon Valley, a bunch of social media tools. Tools have never been the answer. Tools obviously have to be used, right? But the answer also is not New York and some ad agency, right? There's somewhere in between the pure human model and the pure technology model. So Edge Theory has blended that together. So just to go through it real quickly, obviously I always start with conversation is your greatest asset or liability. What we do simply as a conversation media company is we create content, okay? And we'll talk about how we create content at significant scale for brands, for advocates, and so forth. But at the end of the day, what is your narrative? If it's myclientmatch.com, their brand is not Match.com. Their brand is divorced and dating. Their brand is being alone sucks. Their brand, those are all huge conversations on social that a lot more people are having who aren't looking for them, right? And so if I go help them own those conversations, people will find Match.com. Mississippi College, my least sexy but my favorite example in the world where I went to school, is Mississippi College owns the Christian University conversation. Why do we want to focus on that? The kid at First Baptist is going to probably already look at Mississippi College, right? Because it is a wonderful Christian university. But how do we go find people not looking for us? How do we find young ladies in California who don't even think we wear shoes in Mississippi, right? How do we find her to come to Mississippi College? And we do it by helping them own the equestrian lifestyle conversation. Mississippi College has one of the best equestrian teams because of Providence Hill in Florida that even exists in the country. So if we go tweet, wouldn't you love to ride a horse after college class every day, and stick that out there in this crazy Twitter sphere, lo and behold, a young woman in Anaheim, true story, now pays us $40,000, right? The only reason she's going to Mississippi College is because Mississippi College owns the horseback or a piece of the horseback riding conversation, right? And so if it's Mayo Clinic, a big health brand, they want to own the women's heart care conversation. So it's all about what is your narrative, and then, our technology, we do lots of things, but the simple way that we believe we do over anybody else in the world is we create content algorithmically. Okay, and then we're agnostic to social media. We work with every social media platform, and we're agnostic to language. We do right to left languages. We do, from Farsi to English to Spanish to Portuguese. Some clients, we create content more in Spanish than we do in English, because if you want to go find a young man in Texas, you got to be on Twitter and speak in Spanish, right? So when people sit there and say, my social media strategy is about my brand, you can't find people if you don't talk like people. And so we believe it's about, lots of voices. The art of conversation, I always talk about it's always been true. It's how do you get to the right cocktail party? What do you say? What do you listen to? And how do you react? So I think, when Jim in Netscape created, you had sort of one voice on digital. You had a website. Then, of course, social comes along. You have all these cute different voices. We believe at the end of the day, it's about how do you get a greater conversation share, and how do you get other people to talk for you? Because what makes way more sense is your brand is your customer. Does that make sense? And so how do you rise the tide, which floats all boats? You got to get lots of people talking. It's never been about the brand. And so many marketers think of themselves as it's about my brand. Only 3% of people might ever engage with a brand, right? People make decisions because of what their friends and family say. How many of you look at Facebook and say, what do I say? All day long you look at Facebook. You're influenced by what people say. They're your friends and family. You're not influenced by a brand. So we believe at the end of the day, conversation share is our metric. It's not about followers, never has been. I have a lot of followers. That doesn't hurt, right, on Twitter, but it's about, do you own the conversation? So conversation share matters. It's just a simple thing. If you think of an old-fashioned marketing funnel, the more conversation you own, the more mind share you own, and the more, obviously, market share. We're way ahead of search. We're way above search. People searching for you are looking for you, right? And so we want to find people not looking for you. Obviously, the problem we solve real quickly is how do you create enough content? I see it from the biggest brands in the world. When you look at Viking, that's us. There is nobody at Viking. We're doing all the content. People, big brands, small brands, how do I create enough content? So that's really the ultimate what I answer. Clients range all over. If you're familiar with network marketing companies, Viking, these are just a few of our clients. Most of them are not here. We do have a new product that we're selling, thankfully now, that can be sold to local businesses, which I'm excited about. But primarily, we have enterprise clients. And we've just we like living here. And I always talk about how it's just the pro and con of being in Mississippi. The con is, we're not very progressive, and we're not very dense, so there's just not a lot of businesses for me to go sell to. The flip side is I think we have the most creative people in the world. And that helps me build a business with a lot of creative people. So as a platform, we do 4 things. We listen, we create, we deploy, and we analyze. That's just the art of conversation. You have to listen, but what makes us different is we create content. For example, today, we'll probably go create content that goes through 20,000 Twitter handles today for Juice Plus, if you've ever heard of Juice Plus, or Herbalife. So lots of content. But we have to listen, and we have to deploy, and we have to analyze. Lots of people in the world have solved the listening problem. There's tons of tools that can help you listen. There's tons of tools like Hootsuite and all types of low-end to high-end tools that can help you deploy. We've never seen anybody that can help you create content. That's what we do special. Again, 3 ways we help folks. And tell me how much time I have so I can. All right, so the way we create content, we do it on 3 patterns, 3 ways. Brands, we create content for the brand, we create content for the advocates, and content for the consumers, which is our newest thing, which is the Holy Grail, getting your customers to talk for you. So on the brand side, that's where we work with like Mayo Clinic and Neiman Marcus and those, and we'll go through that in a minute. But how do you go beyond the brand, and how do you, as Match.com, go beyond @Match on Twitter or Facebook and create @DivorceDating? That is a huge persona that unfortunately addresses half the adult population, right? So if we go own that conversation, so we create new voices along with the brand voice, right, to get more voices out there talking. So that's persona. And we do that even for local businesses. And then soundboard, I love, and that is how do we get your advocates to talk for you. So if you go to if anybody from Mississippi State in here, if you go to weringtrue.com, that's our company, and you can sign up. You love Mississippi State, you already put a sticker on your car, you already wear a maroon jersey on Friday. It allows you to sign up in 5 minutes and get pre-approved tweets from Sid Salter and Checky from Mississippi State to come through your social handle automatically once a week. So now all of a sudden, the way I always talk about with Mississippi State or any much bigger companies is, at the end of the day, however small or big you are, whether you're selling a product or a service, you have to think of yourself as a media company, right? You have to think of yourself as a media company. And if you're a marketer, you have to think of yourself as a publisher. How do I go get my people to talk for me? How do I go turn on 1,000 radio stations, 1,000 cable networks by getting 1,000 Mississippi State fans talking for me? Does that make sense? That will propel you so much faster than one Mississippi State voice that only a few people follow. So soundboard is what we do for advocates. We do it for, anyone heard of Juice Plus in here? Juice Plus? So Juice Plus, we message every day for 10, 20,000 men and women, right? And we push incredible healthy living content through their Twitter handle or Facebook, and they don't do anything, okay? So again, we're helping them become a media company. And then we do it for bankers, Metropolitan Bank. We do it for anybody. If you have people, you want them talking for you. And then Soundboard VIP, which I'm so excited about. It's a tough one to grow because it's a local business play, how I scale the business. But we tweet for the customer. So we sell a product, Bonefish Grill. People know about that. That's in Jackson. We've increased their ROI 500% because when you go to Bonefish Grill, they walk up to you and they say, we really appreciate you coming in. Would you say something on Facebook for us? And we'll give you 10% off right now. You type in a simple little website, not an app, because apps are dead. No one wants apps. You type in bf.dine.vip. You can go to it. It gives you what to say. It gives you 3 things. Click, click. It's on your Facebook wall that you just had a great date night. That's so powerful. And now Bonefish is seeing Iron Horse, Seafood Revolution. All these restaurants are using it because their brand is you or I leaving that restaurant, right? That's what gets people to go back to Bonefish Grill. So giving your customers what to say, no matter what business. I just did a deal, just met with Hugh Mean on C-Spire. We're going to be putting this in stores. You just bought an iPhone. It's the happiest you're ever going to be. Get them to say something on Facebook and get an incentive for doing so. Does that make sense? And so giving your people what to say, I always say about this, I think you've met my mother. My mother knows me. My mother loves me. We talk every morning on the telephone. she still buys me a Father's Day card. Think about that. If my mama needs help knowing what to say, your customers need help knowing what to say. And I think we have this false worldview about social that everybody knows what to say. Most people don't know what to say, right? And I was thinking no matter what business you're in, especially if you're in a consumer business, you got to give your people what to say. They just don't know what to say. That's not a bad thing. Most people are called consumers. They're not creative producers of content. How many times do you spend on Facebook looking and reading and not producing? Most people read and consume. So if that's true, why do you spend all your marketing on talking? Why don't you spend your money on marketing and getting other people what to say? So that's what Soundboard VIP is. So persona real quickly. Match, so now I'm just going to go through these real quickly. Persona, Match.com, TakeMatch.com, they have a huge conversation map. It's huge. It's got billions of elements that we've mapped algorithmically. One of them, though, is lifestyle and divorce. So how do we go out there and help them own that conversation? There's a lot more people talking about this conversation than saying, I need a date, right? And so how do we go intersect, and that's what I did my TED Talk on, and just recently at Stanford I redid it. How do we find intersect people with conversations who aren't looking for us? So they want to own this conversation. That is Match.com's brand. It's Black People Meet, it's Divorced and Dating, it's all these brands they've created, they give us, then we go create personas around them. So at the end of the day, there is this persona Match, right, at Match, but then there's these personas that they create. They're very transparent. Divorce date, our time, but these are huge conversations, farmer's date, whatever. So we go help people create lots and lots of personas in Twitter, and this is actually Twitter, but Twitter, Facebook, et cetera. But the goal is, take Sarah. We don't know who she is, but hypothetically, she's a recently divorced woman in Dallas. She is not looking for Match.com, but she is looking about and searching divorce and dating. When do I date again? Stuff like that. Does that make sense? And so if we go create and own and create lots of content, this is when, again, a big false worldview on social. It's not about followers. If I go talk and create content, it gets indexed by Google, right? So the new SEO, and I think that word is abused a lot, the new SEO is obviously owning the conversation because Google is not indexing only websites. They're indexing talk, right? So the more you talk, the more someone looking for divorce and dating now finds Match.com, who was not looking for it. That could be horseback riding Mississippi College. Make sense? And Mississippi College, has the highest enrollment in 190 years because they've gone beyond the Baptist Christian conversation, which is awesome, right? They've gone to the equestrian. They have more students per capita from Saudi Arabia and China because they're owning Brazil because they're owning conversations and talking in Portuguese in Brazil. That will find students in Brazil, right? And so real quickly how we do it, just from a technical standpoint, we map conversations. From Match.com, there's all these huge conversations out there. We then obviously do lots of algorithms to figure out what to say, and then we create language. This is a very simple way. I hire English majors, liberal arts people, then I teach them how to think one-to-one, like templates, like think of Mad Libs. So take this one template, and we have billions, literally now, probably, I don't know if it's billions, but we have millions and millions of templates that all create 100,000 different variations. So I can never repeat myself and learn the art of conversation. So take this. Single in Dallas, are you in Dallas? Divorced in Dallas, looking for love in Dallas with first date jitters. Get your groove back, jump back in the dating pool, spice it up, make reservations at R&D Kitchen, et cetera, et cetera. Hashtag date night. That creates 256 different ways to go talk and own the conversation. So our technology, very simplistically, creates lots of these to go deploy through lots of technology. ROI, I think that being a recovering CPA, I understand numbers very well. I think it's crazy the ROI discussions we have. At the end of the day, sure, it's nice to have engagement on social, but do not let people, that is not the answer. The answer is not followers. The answer is, are you being indexed? So we track indexing quite a bit. And at the end of the day is, do you own the conversation? Do you own the dating tip conversation if you're Match.com, right? So if you think of B2B, we have B2B customers. We have customers that sell RFID, which is not a dating kind of conversation. RFID devices. Well, they want to own the asset tracking conversation, right? Because there's more people in the world talking about asset tracking that aren't looking for RFID. So whether you're B2B to B2C, it doesn't matter. What are the conversations? You're writing on a piece of paper. What are the conversations you want to own? And that's what you should be talking about. Our reports go through, and again, conversation share is our biggest deal. This is one little group in the UK, but you can see that every month we tweet for 4,400 women. We've tweeted 87,000 times in the last 30 days. 73,000 times it's had links. But, huge click-through rates from humans, but 1.5 million times those messages have been indexed by Google. Why? Because we did not talk about the brand. We did not talk about how great thou art. We talked about healthy living, soccer moms, busy moms. Does that make sense? And then real quick, the soundboard, that is where our product, we're advocates, where we go, whether it be Herbalife, whether it be Metropolitan Bank, whether it be the Redskins, Juice Plus, Mississippi State. We let the advocate signs up, and in 5 minutes authorizes Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, and has instant tweets going through their handle forevermore. And if they don't do anything, if you go look at my handle, I'm verified. You look at Joe Options, you'll see tweets come through, these beautiful tweets from Mississippi Museum of Art. I'm signed up on the Mississippi Museum of Art soundboard. It took me 5 minutes with my great friend Betsy to do. Every week, there's these beautiful tweets that go through my handle that are authentic, real and true. That's what that means, right? Go through my handle. And so I'm letting Mississippi Museum of Art air their beautiful message, whether it's civil rights or art or modern art, through my cable network. Does that make sense? And that's the answer. So when you look at Redskins, it's obviously about Redskins football. If it's bankers, it's about not bank loans. It's about building pools in backyards, because that's a conversation that makes people need to have a home equity line, right? So it's all about conversation. I'm going to just skip through this. And then I want to get into Soundboard VIP. So this is a product that's really applicable to Mississippi because I can sell it to local businesses. But again, Soundboard VIP is a word-of-mouth product that provides your customers what you want them to say on their Facebook wall, not yours, the brand, right? And so we launched this 90 days ago. We have 200 businesses using it, and we've had great success. My problem is it's a hard one to scale because I have to sell it locally, so I need sales reps. But it's taken off very, very well. We're now doing it for enterprise, like I said, C-Spire or Ducks Unlimited. But what it does is, think of Bonefish Grill. You're having dinner there. They walk up to you either on a table tent, on the table, or they give you that card. And they say, thank you so much for coming in, Joe and Catherine. We love you to say something on Facebook for us. Would you do that? And we'll give you 10% off right now. Well, I don't know about you, but I would say yes. Okay? As soon as I say yes, I type that in. You can type it in yourself. That takes you to this. And it says right there, the waiters at your table, it says get 10% off. It gives you what to say. Right? This is Iron Horse, actually. A night of good food and local music, Iron Horse. Hashtag Iron Horse Grill. Et cetera, et cetera. Once you click and choose it, it puts you on Facebook, on your wall. So it gives you what to say, plus a beautiful image, and now 120 people will read that by tomorrow morning. That's a fact. We all, on average, have 360 friends. On average, a third of our friends will read what we say. That does not mean they're going to like it. Does not mean they're going to share it, but it means they're going to read it, right? And so if one person a day walks out of Iron Horse and does this, they create 120 recommendations. If that happens every day, and they do tens of 20 a day, but with just one a day, times 30 days in a month, times 120 recommendations, not impressions. These things are way more valuable than impressions, right? Impressions are advertising. But 120 times 30, that's 3,600 recommendations about Iron Horse Bar and Grill a month. If 5% come back in and buy, that's 180 new customers times a $100 check price. That's $18,000 in new business. They pay me $299 a month for the product. So that's our instant reward. And then we launched it with things like Fannin is an example here. How we do it for a business where you don't pay after the service, you pay before you get the service, like a bowling alley, right? Or Nukes I'm meeting with today. All right. So with these guys, you got to go, you pay your business, now you're sitting down there bowling, and there's a little table tent that says, listen, say something on Facebook and get your next visit free. So we have what we call the voucher. You put in your email, it sends you a voucher, you come back. And then lastly, what we're doing really well with is Ducks Unlimited. They have 4,000 events. I had no idea how big this thing was. I've seen a bunch of duck things on pickup trucks, but it's a big organization. 4,000 events a year. People come to these events, they don't know what to say. They have no idea what to say. And so when they come to an event, it gives them what to say. And as soon as I get to the event in Shelbyville, Tennessee, or wherever I am, and it says, say something on Facebook for a chance to win a free Yeti cooler. I'm going to do that, right? It's a beautiful tweet by Ducks Unlimited. Next thing you know, you have hundreds of thousands of people on Facebook talking about Ducks Unlimited, right, and donations go up. So whether it be the instant version, like reward them at the restaurant, or the voucher version come back, or whether it be at the event, that we're going to talk about Cellular South's going to have a Kenny Chesney content, I believe, in May. Well, gosh, can you imagine if you're a Kenny Chesney concert, and you get, and you say something. So, end of the day, this just goes through the ROI. But at the end of the day, it's about, on anything we do, and I'm talking real fast, it's how do you get more content? How do you get more voices? And I really, think two things to take away. I think as your local businesses, one, think about what are the conversations you want to be a part of? What are the cocktail parties you want to be at that people are talking about who aren't looking for you? That's the first thing. That's all you do in your social strategy, right? And then apply that. And secondly, don't focus on your brand. No one engages with brands. How many times do you go into a bank, follow us on Twitter? Seriously? Really, I mean, it's crazy what people think. People are using social as if it's, I've talked about this, as if it's some billboard. It's a conversation, right? So don't measure success on people following you or liking you. Measure success on, do you own the conversation? All right, that's it.
I think the successes that we've had in Mississippi, it is so impressive to hear different startups and different entrepreneurs. I was listening to the competition that they had, the Shark Tank type competition they had, and they were telling me about the third place winner was this incredible idea, and I thought, if that's the third place winner, what's the first place winner, So I just think we have a lot of opportunities here in Mississippi. We have such creative, smart folks here, and we need to support them in order to grow our economy, in order to have a better workforce, and that's what I'm looking for as in government in Mississippi.